I'm working as a director Western Region for ISM-INDIA. This is about my introduction. I done all the certifications from ISM, APIX, and American Society of Transportation Logistics. And in last 19 years, I'm doing a lot of education training program for supply chain management, sales and operation planning, master scheduling, MRP, inventory management, purchase, and so on. Okay. So first question is, what is XRP? Generally, we are talking about XRP as an acronym for the requirements planning or maybe for the resource planning. Let's take example, when we are talking about MRP, is the material requirement planning, and when we are talking about MRP2, manufacturing resource planning. When we are talking about ERP, it is a enterprise resource planning, and then we can talk about the DRP, like a distribution requirement planning, and DRP2 as a distribution resource planning. So various these plans are there, and the purpose of all these plans is to meet the customer requirements well in time. Generally, we are using the requirements planning to align supply management to and operation activities to support organization strategy. Now, what is the organization strategy? One is to increase the revenue so that we can increase our sales. Second is customer service. Third is maybe possible inventory reduction, and fourth maybe the optimization of resources in organization. Now the strategies are fulfilled by XRP process. Okay, so somewhere in 1960s, when people they used to place the order or for material on the basis of a simple process, they thought of why not there should be an integrated process for the organization we can use. And then slowly the people they came together, they can form one particular process called material requirement plan. What they did the requirement of material, they just automated the process, and because of this process the people they used to get the material requirement plan well in time, and because of that they can place the order. But the problem with MRP was the MRP was useful for only the operation purpose, not for financial purpose, and material is very important for financial purpose also. Then people they used to talk about why not to come out with some system which can include our material requirement with financial resources also. Then slowly people they came out with another concept called MRP2. And when they came out with the MRP2, the benefit was they were doing the material requirement for operation purpose through MRP, but at the same time they were doing the financial calculation on the basis of MRP2. Then slowly they combine other departments also along with the material requirement in MRP2. Okay, but only limitation for MRP2 was it was used only in one location. And if suppose CEO of the organization want to understand the current position of the organization, he was unable to do it. So then people they talk about how to integrate the entire enterprise, and then came another concept which is called ERP. Now when came ERP was talking about all the departments in one particular enterprise was integrated together, and then you are getting the complete report at one location. Then slowly, like people they talk about like this ERP is over. Now what next? Then people they say, okay, if suppose my organization is working very well, and I want to make my supply chain as effective as my organization, then what I will do? And then they came out with the concept called ERP2, okay, where they club their organization along with their supplier and their customer. Okay. Another one concept in this is like DRP, which is called distribution requirement planning. What DRP is doing, like at one particular location, the warehouse which is available in the organization, they are getting the input from the warehouse and making the input to my MPS system, and through MPS system they are making the entire planning. And DRP2 is talking about like where in particular, not only but one location, but across the organization or enterprise, the number of warehouses are there. All the requirement from all these warehouses, they are clubbed together and going into the master scheduling process. Okay. Now for us, most important thing is MRP. Why MRP is important for us is like because it is dealing with the dependent demand requirement. The independent demand requirement is a part of demand forecast, and dependent demand is a part of our supply forecast. So we are talking about the MRP system. The input which is coming in MRP system is from master scheduling, which is the planning for end items. There may be a contract orders. There can be a forecast for individual items. All these are the input for MRP system. Another input to MRP system is bill of material. You can talk in many organizations they are talking about bill of material. In many organizations they are talking about the recipe. It depends on like different organization. And one very important input is inventory status. What is my opening inventory? What is the expected closing inventory? What is the allocations? All these are the primary input in our MRP system. Once this input is going in the system, the outcome of the system is either the purchase order or the production order. Okay. As I say, like MRP2 is like manufacturing resource planning. It connects not only our financial planning in system, but other departments are also connected with the MRP system. So it addresses the financial planning in dollars because like MRP and finance both are joined together. They can make the planning in finance in dollars. It addresses the operation planning in terms of units also. And very important part is like the simulation capability is there to answer what if. If suppose you are using the MRP software, then there is the offline simulation facility is also available. So it is not going to affect your work, but at the same time, offline you can do the simulation for material requirement. Similarly, we can do the offline simulation for inventory, we can do the simulation for capacity, we can do the simulation for SNOP. So it comprises variety of functions, particularly like business plan, then sales and operation plan, production plan, master production schedule, material requirement plan, capacity requirement plan, execution plan at the shop floor level. So to understand these different plans, let's take one example like any automobile industry. So in the automobile industry, the topmost level is the business plan. It is called as a strategic plan in the organization. Now, in business plan, maybe like people they are talking about, we want to do business of particular dollar amount. Okay, they are not talking about this revenue we will generate from which particular product, but they are talking about we want this particular revenue, or the business plan is we want to increase our market share from 15% to 18%. Okay. Now, when we are doing the business planning, the planning horizon is longer. It may be 1 year to around 5 years minimum, 1 year to 5 years. Okay, why we are doing the business plan in our organization? The purpose is for business planning at the higher level. When we are making the business plan, there is a correspondence capacity planning is also required, which is called, in this case, it is called resource planning. So if my business plan is for, take example, 15% market share. So for 15% market share, particular level of capacity is required or resources are required. When I want to increase my plan from 15% to 18%, the resources are required and which we are supposed to plan also. So suppose for 3% increase, the number of resources required, we have to plan well in advance, because let's take example, we require manpower. For getting the manpower, minimum time required is maybe around 1 year. Then we require the money power. Again, for arranging the money, we need minimum 8 to 12 months. We need machines, which again require a long time. So, particularly at business level, when we are doing the planning, we have to make the plan for next 1 year to 5 years, so that I can make this all resources available. Then at the second level is like we are talking about sales and operation planning. Now, sales and operation planning is input to the production plan. So we can say sales and operation planning separately, or also we can say as a part of the production plan. Now in sales and operation planning, like the sales people, they are giving the requirement for particular product line or particular family of product or group of product or volume level forecast. On the basis of their volume level forecast, what operation people they are talking about, whether they have the capacity or not. And then they are talking to the purchase people whether this particular raw material is available or not. If it is not available, then what is the alternate resources? So particularly like when we are talking about sales and operation planning, at this level we are not talking only in terms of money, but we are talking also in terms of numbers or units. Okay, but only difference in sales and operation planning is, as compared to business plan, sales and operation planning gives both these reports. One report in terms of finance, another report in terms of numbers also, but at the volume level, right? Now, sales and operation planning is the input for production plan. Now, what is the production plan in any organization? It is a volume level plan which is sanctioned by the top management. So, if take example in car manufacturing company again, if suppose somebody is talking about how many cars I want to make, then they will say per day 400 cars, or per week maybe 2800 cars, like that. So which car they are not talking about? They are talking about how many cars. That is a volume level plan again, and it is the sanction plan from the top management. And against that we are making the possibility of all resources should be available. Now next level plan is master production schedule. Now master production schedule is talking about which particular product we want to make. At production plan we are talking about how much we want to make. Here we are talking about which one we want to make. So master production schedule is the mixed level plan, not volume level plan. And at this level we are talking about the availability of all critical resources. The next level we are talking about the MRP, where the input is coming from the master production schedule, and in MRP we are talking about which particular material is required for making this product, which material is available, which material we have to order, and what is the lead time for a particular material, so that we can release the order and accordingly we can receive the order. Okay. Now, when we are doing the MRP process, the capacity process is also required, and which is called capacity requirement planning. So, at MRP we are talking about which particular material is required. At capacity requirement planning we are talking about at particular work center what is the available capacity and what is the required capacity, what is the load profile on various machines. Okay, and then lastly we can talk about the execution part, where like if suppose MRP is talking about purchase order, then we are going and giving the purchase order to the supplier, and then we are taking care of the supplier's capacity also. Most of the companies nowadays they are talking about the capacity of the supplier also. If suppose we are doing the manufacturing planning, then we are talking about the capacity of our in-house machines. So this is like a complete MRP2 system which we are talking about, which is the backbone of any ERP system. Okay. Now, broadly we can talk about the overall system, which is called enterprise resource planning, which integrates all data and processes. Typically includes broad-based applications that eliminates the need of external interface between the multiple systems. So it was, for example, like one particular company is there who has like 10 different factories. Every factory was working with individual MRP2 system. Instead of that, then all these 10 factories are integrated through ERP systems. Okay. So at one location, like the CEO of the company can find out all the reports, and then he can process for the decision. So when you see like a ERP system, it contains like various functions which is like equivalent to various departments. For example, he is talking about the manufacturing process, where like we are talking about engineering, we are talking about bill of materials, we are talking about scheduling of the orders, we are talking about the capacity of each and every work centers. We can talk about the workflow management, and we can talk about the manufacturing flow also. It can also talk about the supply management system, where like we can talk about inventory, procurement, supply scheduling, goods inspection, the budget planning and all. It contains also the finance, where like GR is there, general ledger is there, cash management, fixed assets, account payable, receivable. It also contains like the project management, where we are talking about the costing, we are talking about the billing activity management, time and expense scheduling. It can also like contains HR, data warehousing, and customer management system. So all these systems are integrated in one system, which is called ERP. Most of the like ERP system has like add-on modules which are not the part of ERP, but it can be a part of ERP2 system. Like for example, we have to talk about the continuous replenishment program is inbuilt in the system. WMS, warehouse management system, is very important for nowadays. It is the inbuilt system in the ERP. CRM, SRM is there. We can have the DRP and ERP2 system also along with my ERP system. So when we are talking about ERP2, it is the extension of traditional ERP system. In traditional ERP system, we have like manufacturing, we have the distribution, we have the finance, we have the HR. But in ERP2, we are clubbing our supplier, also we are clubbing our customers. So from supplier side, we are talking about supply chain management, we are talking about procurement, inventory. One very important part is like in today's era, people are now talking about the reducing inventory from my organization and pushing it to the supplier side. Today, people they are talking about removing the inventory from the supply chain completely. Because if suppose we are keeping inventory at the supplier side, which is costing to the supplier, ultimately the cost he will recover from customer only. So that is not making any benefit for the company. And from customer side, it is like customer service. A lot of like companies they are going way, so electronic customers are there. Interactive marketing is there. Demand forecasting, and most important, order management system should be there. So that I can monitor our orders and fulfill my customer requirement in time. Okay. Now, ERP system often designed to accommodate the different languages. Like in India, we are having the ERP system with our requirement of language, like UK-based English. In Germany, it is like in German language. In maybe like US, it is the US-based language. So different countries, different languages are there, and all ERP systems are available with different languages. And also like it is also accommodate the exchange rate of different currencies. So suppose you are making the invoice and you want to make invoice in dollars, immediately it will convert into dollars current rate, and then you can find out what is the current amount you have to pay. So various data sources are there, online data sources are there, and when implemented, it is a powerful tool to plan, schedule, and control virtually all aspects of production and supply chain. So, ERP is really a very powerful tool. It reduces your manpower requirement, it reduces your dependency on the manpower, and it will increase your ability to plan much in advance. And maybe possible like because of ERP only, you can reach to the level of supply chain integration. Okay. Now, information is very important part for the integration. Like most of the people, they are sharing data, but they are not sharing the information. For example, like you are talking about how many cars we want to sell, or like if suppose one distributor is purchased 10 cars, he is giving the order of 10 cars, he is sharing this data, 10 cars, that's all. But he is not sharing the information why he needs 10 cars. Maybe possible he has the customer order of 10 cars, or maybe he has customer order of 6 cars and 4 cars he is keeping as a buffer for next period. Okay, so important for integration of the system is you can share the information also. So what information is available with me? How is the information accessed, and who should have access to what information? If suppose we are talking about the supply chain integration, we are talking about the use of one particular common database. Now in database, a lot of information are there. So which information is for me, which information is for my supplier, which information is for my customer. You have to define it very carefully, and then everyone can see the only information. Okay. Most of the ERPs are making on the basis of like a lot of people, they are developing the softwares which can work along with the ERP system also. So for development of the system, there can be like we can talk about multiple stages are there. Like example, first you do the analysis. If particular process you want to systemize, first thing is to analyze the process. What to convert into system. Then on the basis of that you can design the system. Then you can develop prototype, test it. Okay. If it is correct, then you can develop the complete process. Then again test it, and then after testing, you can start the implementation. Once the implementation is over, you are using the process, then you can start the maintenance of this also. So these are the 6 different steps for system development life cycle. Okay. Now, important part is, as I say, like we are doing planning for all the planning is for future. Nobody is doing the planning for present or past. So at the same time, we are also talking about the forecast. Whenever we are doing planning, we are doing the forecast. So why we are doing forecast then? First, it assists the planning process. So if my planning is particular for particular product, I will do the forecast for this product. If my planning is for capacity, my forecast is for capacity. Okay. Now, good forecast is the basis to improve sourcing method. If I am aware about my requirement well in time, then I will put my all efforts to make sure I will get the proper source. If I am not aware about my requirement, that may be possible, I will be in trouble when we are doing the sourcing. Identify suppliers, strategic material, then improve the quality. When we are doing forecasting, we are making sure that which material is required, what type of quality is required. We are informing our suppliers well in time, and because of that we are improving the quality of the product. Then increase supplier performance levels. Most of the companies like who are working in the reactive mode, there you can say like their performance of supply is not up to the mark. Because like when they are not getting demand in time, how they can do the supply in time. So for improvement of the supply performance, forecasting is very important. Then to estimate demand and to determine if supply can meet the demand. If your demand is like maybe of 100 units and your supply is not more than 60 units, how you can meet the demand and supply? So when you are aware about your demand for future, you can talk to your supplier. We can supply as per your requirement. If it is not ready, then you can search for the alternate suppliers. Then we can also like forecast to predict technology trends. Technology is changing very fast. Like take example in manufacturing industry nowadays, people are talking about 3-dimensional printing. So if you can forecast it well in advance, then according to that you can make the action also. Now predict the price also, predict the dependable demand, and establish the budget. That is the most important part of the forecasting. Now, which are the conditions which affect the forecast? Mostly like lead time. If lead time is more, you can get the very bad forecast. Labor markets are very important, particularly for manufacturing industry. If suppose labors are available, then you can make the costing very favorable to the customer. If the labors are not available at all or very scarcity of the labor is there, then maybe possible the cost of the product will go up. Global trade, money markets, technology shifts, weather conditions, material shortage, all these are like very commonly seen about the forecast. So generally, like, when we are doing the forecasting process, first very important part is select what to forecast. If you are not aware like what to forecast, then how you will do the forecasting? So you have to understand. First method is to select the what to forecast. Then you can choose also time horizon for how long we can do the forecasting, and then we can talk about also models. Which particular model is suitable for my forecasting? Then what? We have to collect the relevant data. It can be like market research data, it can be opinion from the experts, or it can be projections. Then we have to prepare the forecast, either quantitative or qualitative, and then we validate the forecast against my current performance and then implement result. Now, generally forecast can be a long term, it can be a mid term, or it can be a short term. Long term forecast usually we are doing for more than 1 year. It is used as a basis for capacity planning, making the location decisions, or if suppose any process change is required, then we can do the process change. Medium term forecast we can use for marketing decision. We suppose we have to change our marketing strategy, then we can use it. About staffing, we suppose we have to increase the staff or reduce the staff. We have to use it for production delivery or service delivery, for purchasing or distribution. And then like short-term forecast is very commonly used for scheduling of the workforce. We suppose we have to plan for next 7 days how we can schedule the workforce. This is the short-term forecast. Or we can change our inventory policy. So how we can manage our inventory, plan production, develop schedules, or final product assembly is also a part of short-term forecast. Okay. Now, in forecasting models, generally either we can do the qualitative forecast or quantitative forecast. What is this qualitative forecast? It is on the basis of judgmental or subjective way. There is no data, or if data is there, we are not believing completely on the data. We are using our judgments, our experience for the forecast. Example is like we can use the sales force composite. So our sales force is there in the organization. We are taking their feedback about the future forecast, and according to them, because the sales force is closest to the customer, so whatever they are saying, we are considering is the correct statement. Another is like market research. A lot of companies are doing the market research. A lot of companies are there for the research purpose. Executive opinions, like in our organization, the senior people, they are giving their opinion, and we are obeying the opinion of the executives. Delphi method, where like we can call the independent consultant or the senior people. They are giving their feedback, and then we are just going through the feedback. We are the ultimate goal is to make the attempt where all they are coming to the common point. Then management, yes, focus group is there. Like for example, nowadays a lot of social groups are there. They are the focus group, so there we can find out what customers are talking about the requirements. Survey is possible, and product lifecycle analysis can be there. Another way is like we can talk about the quantitative forecast, which is more sophisticated than the judgmental. Generally, we are doing judgmental for long-term forecasting or for forecasting of the new product. But for short-term and mid-term, we are using more sophisticated, that is quantitative. It is based on real data, not on the opinion, because opinion can be biased, but real data cannot be biased. Frequently involves large amount of data, requires use of statistical and computer programs. There can be intrinsic data or can be extrinsic data also. If there is a intrinsic data, then we can form the method like a name method where we can talk about our forecast is as good as our last sale. Moving average, like we can talk about the 3 months moving average or 6 months moving average, where we can talk about the averaging of the 3 months or 6 months. Exponential smoothing, where we can give particular weightage for particular area. Like for example, if suppose we are believing our current sale is very good indication for our next month's forecast, then we can put the weightage very high. But if suppose we are feeling like our next month's sale is equivalent to our past 10 months or 12 months sales, then we can put the weightage very low. Okay. Another way is like we can talk about the extrinsic data we can use for forecasting. And for using the extrinsic data, most common method is like regression analysis, where we can talk about like if suppose one particular thing will happen, so my sale will increase in what way? Now take a simple example is like in one company who is making the tires, they observe like government has released data that consumption of gasoline has increased in particular period, in particular nation. Now, consumption of gasoline has increased is equivalent to what they did. They increased their capacity of the factory. Now, their business was tire manufacturing. They increased the capacity of their tire manufacturing. Now, how tire manufacturing is directly proportionate to this gasoline consumption? No way. But indirectly you can say regression analysis say, if suppose your consumption of gasoline is increased, that means either new vehicles are coming in market, and if new vehicles are coming, they will consume more tires, or if same number of vehicles are there, then they are running more on the road, and because of that, more consumption of tire will take place. In both the case, tire consumption will increase. That's why they increase their capacity. Okay. Now, when we are doing the forecasting, maybe possible there are a lot of ways are there. We can, because actually forecast is never accurate. This is one of the fundamental rule of forecasting. So forecast is not accurate, then why we want to do forecasting? So that at least we can come to the point how much my forecast is deviating from my actual performance. Now, what is the way to calculate my forecast inaccuracy? One of the best method is standard deviation. Now, what is the standard deviation? A method of dispersion of data standard deviation is calculated by finding the difference between the average and each actual observation, squaring each differences, summing all squared differences, divided by n minus 1, where n is number of observations. Suppose I am talking about number of observations 15. So what is my standard deviation? Actual minus forecast. We are taking the square of that and summation of all this 15 observations divided by 15 minus 1. Right? Another way of doing this calculation is, instead of that standard deviation, we can go for the mean absolute deviation or mean absolute error. What is this absolute error divided by number of periods? So suppose my error is, my forecast is 100, my actual performance is 105. So 105 minus 100, my deviation or error is 5. Now I am talking plus 5 or minus 5, but in this case we are taking the absolute value. So that means we are taking just 5 without any sign and divided by the number of periods. So if suppose I am doing this observation periods, then I will do the summation of all the observations divided by 20 is my mean absolute error. But if suppose my error is very less in numbers, like take example, I am talking about actual is maybe around 10,000 and error is maybe around 20 or 30. So if, as compared to the 10,000, the error of 30 is very less. So how we can find out more efficiently? We can find out the percentage of the error deviation. That means mean percentage error. So in this case, if 30 out of 10,000, we will see in terms of percentage, it will show some significant number. Okay. So we are just seeing like what is planning, the various planning hierarchy. Then to counteract this planning, we have forecasting. We can do various forecasting techniques. We can find out what is my forecast inaccuracy. And all this thing we are talking about, at the same time we are talking about how we can manage the inventory in our system. So one of the most commonly used and most acceptable norm in inventory management system is, you can go for the vendor managed inventory or supplier managed inventory. Both terms are interchangeably used by the organization. In supplier managed inventory, the inventory is owned by the supplier. It is managed by the supplier, but it is available in the premises of the customer. So whenever like supplier is managing inventory in the premises of the customer, he will make sure there should not be a shortage of the inventory. Now, what is the benefit to supplier? The most beneficial point is like because of that arrangement, he can make restriction of the entry for any competitor in the company. This is the biggest benefit for supplier. And what is benefit to customer? The benefit to customer is like he is not taking the headache of inventory management. The entire headache is passing to the supplier, and he is doing his own business. Okay. Another way of like doing the inventory control is like ABC analysis, very commonly known as Pareto analysis, where we can talk about A-class items, which are almost like equivalent to 80% of the cost of the product, And now nowadays, like people, they are talking about 70 to 80% of the cost of the product. B class items, they are as good as 10 to 20% of the cost, and C class items maybe 5 to 10% of the total cost. So generally, when we are doing the inventory management system, we can concentrate more on A class item. We can keep the moderate approach towards the B class item, and we can maybe can avoid these C class items. Or if at all we are not avoiding this, we can keep very low weightage for C class items. Then another one system is there, like for inventory management, which is called reorder point system. So like whenever our inventory is going below the particular level, the system itself will generate the order. So if suppose we are talking about continuous review inventory control system, this reorder point is very commonly used. And very commonly used, like this formula for reorder point system is like demand during the lead time plus safety stock. So we have to find demand during the lead time. Like lead time is 2 days, then I have to keep the inventory of 2 days plus my safety stock. If my lead time is 5 days, then I will keep the inventory of 5 days plus safety stock. Then another method is like a fixed order period. So this is also called as a periodic review system, where like a particular date we are keeping for the review of the inventory, and after reviewing the inventory, then we are placing the order for requirement of the inventory. This system is very commonly used in the retail industry, where like placing the order is not very costly, and also we are getting a number of products from one supplier only, and because of that we can get the complete package mode. Then another method is called fixed order quantity, where like order quantity is fixed, but the duration or like the interval of placing the order is different. So it depends on like how frequently we are consuming the raw material. According to that, we can make the frequency of the order. But order quantity will be the same for every time. This system is very commonly used for continuous requirement of the material, or for the material where like requirements are very predictable. Then we can use the fixed order quantity. One benefit of fixed order quantity is very simple and easy to use method. But we cannot use this method for very in the business scenario where like requirement is very dynamic. Then another system is called Kanban. It is a Japanese term used for the signal. And usually like Kanban is like a printed card that contains the specific information such as part number, name, description, quantity, and so on. Or it can be bin, it can be empty space, it can be lighting signals. So nowadays, like Kanban has changed tremendously, and we can do the variety of Kanbans. And one particular thing, like if a number of Kanbans in our system will define how much inventory you are carrying in your system. So like most of the companies, they are talking about customer service should be very high, and we can keep the customer service very high by keeping the inventory. But again, inventory costs us a lot, so we don't want to keep a huge inventory in our system. what is the best method for us to do the business. So like most of the companies, they are defining their safety stock level in the organization, and the safety stock is equivalent to the uncertainty in demand or in supply. So suppose in our case, like we are talking about supplier, whatever the uncertainty is there in the way of supplier, we can keep the safety stock as per the uncertainty level. If the supply is very uncertain, then we have to keep very high level of safety stock. Otherwise, we have to reduce the safety stock also. Then we can define the inventory in our system. Because when we are keeping the inventory in stores or warehouse, we are not defining the inventory as a different like obsolete inventory, damaged inventory, things like that. But in our system, we can define the inventory in various ways. We can define obsolete inventory. What is obsolete inventory? It is not useful to the organization because the intended use is no longer exists. Either the raw material is not at all used by any product, or the raw material usable date is already expired. Surplus or slow moving inventory. It is like again the waste organization assets due to loss of opportunity. Okay, so like a surplus inventory is like if suppose my requirement is 100 units and I purchase 150 units. So 50 units is surplus. If I am not sure when my next requirement will come, it is as good as surplus inventory. The damaged inventory is like no longer fit for its intended purpose. Obsolete inventory again may be usable, but damaged inventory is not at all. So obsolete inventory, sometimes some people they are using it for some or other purpose. Okay. Now, level scheduling is very important for organization. And you will say that it is a technique to balance the production throughout at each workstation. And particularly it is as per the expected life cycle time. Say suppose I'm talking about the cycle time at one particular machine is 100 units per hour and another machine is 120 units per hour. So I will do the level scheduling by keeping some buffer before the second machine where the cycle time is much lesser. Generally, for level scheduling, we can use the approaches like the use of inventory to absorb demand or produce small lots of product using flexible capacity. Both this is possible. Now, packaging is also playing very important role, and we can get the benefit because of the packaging. Like we can reduce the waste, we can save the cost, or we can save the shipping cost also. So particularly like for shipment, we need to tell about the packaging requirement, and as per the requirement, they will talk about the shipping cost. If suppose we are doing the packaging at our location much better, then we can reduce the shipping cost also. Okay. So in supply chain management, there should be more and more visibility into inventory. If I remember, like they say like for supply chain success, 3V is very important. Velocity of the information, visibility of the information, and lack of variability in the system. So there is more and more visibility of the inventory in the system. More and more integration is there in the system. And lastly, we're talking about bullwhip effect. This effect, the bullwhip effect, is very commonly used. And if you see, the reason for bullwhip effect is like when organizations places responsibility of meeting demand on supplier, then there will be a bullwhip effect, because the responsibility of meeting the demand is on supplier. Supplier will keep more and more inventory. If demand is less, he will accumulate the inventory, and in the next cycle, he will use the same inventory. So he will reduce the inventory, and then he can reverse the bullwhip effect. When organization continues to functional silos, if suppose all organizations are working in silos, nobody is sharing the information, they are just sharing the data, then there can be a bullwhip effect. When supply managers take advantage of price discount, surely there will be a bullwhip effect. Rationing and shortage game, if companies are playing, then it is also causing the bullwhip effect. And last is price fluctuations and promotions. So most of the companies, they are doing a lot of promotions, a lot of fluctuation in the price. Because of that, a lot of people, like customers, or maybe suppliers, they are keeping the inventory with them. Okay. So this is planning. If you have any question, you can ask me. Mainly in organization, people, they are doing planning, and this planning is at the level of what is priority plan, sales and operation planning, business plan, master scheduling, MRP. They are doing planning at the level of capacity planning. They are doing planning at the level of inventory. They are doing planning at the level of warehouse management system. So everywhere we are doing the planning so that we can do the business very effectively.